Recently, I received this email from Princess. Like many people, I'm up for a free cruise. But the more I looked into it, the more I realized there is absolutely no way to get one of these so-called free cabins for free. And I'm not talking about the port taxes. Those are standard. You pretty much have to pay them whether you get a free cabin or you're actually paying for it. Instead, I'm talking about something that's pretty much the equivalent of all those annoying resort fees that hotels introduced a while back. Hi, I'm Tiffany from Destination for Vacation. Thanks for joining me. In this case, Princess calls it a required expense that you have to pay in order to get a free cabin. Viewers, perhaps you can help me understand. How can you market a stateroom as free when the guest has to pay something to get it? When you look at this email, what are the two largest words you see? Yep, free. And the term free stateroom appears prominently 3 times. Now, to me, the word free means you don't have to pay anything. But as my grandmother used to remind me, nothing in life is free. And that seems to be the case here. When a cruise line advertises a free cabin, the fine print always lets you know that the word free applies to the cruise fare itself. It excludes government taxes and fees, which generally lumped together mean your port taxes. So, honestly, I didn't think much about the term required expenses when I started clicking around to find what free cabin I might want to book. Until I started noticing that the cabin prices in this promotion were much higher than they should be. These are all Caribbean itineraries, so fees and port taxes for a 7-night cruise should run anywhere from about $50 to $120, per person, of course. So for 2 guests in a cabin, I expected to be able to get one for anywhere between $100 and $300 total. That's total, not per person. Not free, but that's cheap and well worth taking Princess up on the offer. After all, these days, there's no vacation in the world where you could sleep, eat, and be entertained at a rate of about $20 per person per day. But instead, the fares were double what I expected them to be. That's when I went back to read the fine print about that required expense and saw that it has absolutely nothing to do with port fees and taxes. Instead, it's labeled as a $200 deposit that guests 1 and 2 are each required to pay. So $400 on top of the port fees and government taxes. But unlike other deposits, like security deposits you pay and then later get back after your stay, this one is returned to you, but in a non-refundable manner. In short, Princess returns your deposit by keeping it. What does that mean? The deposit will be returned to each guest in the form of an onboard credit once they board the ship. But here's the catch. That deposit is non-refundable. That means if 2 of you are sailing, there is a guarantee you will pay Princess $400 for that free cabin, or $200 if there's only 1 guest sailing. If you or a loved one hosts an elf during the holiday season, then you know that behind all that holiday magic, it takes more than a little planning and preparation for your elf to be able to pull off those crazy shenanigans. That's where the book Elf Antics comes in. Look, even Santa has helpers, so why not you? Get a 5-year plan of the most hilarious and heartwarming antics that have been kid-tested and approved. Color pictures, supply lists, and step-by-step instructions ensure there are no late-night surprises or next-day disappointments. And every idea has the busy parent in mind. Delight the kids you know by gifting their parent this book. Elf Antics by Mr. Elf Delphine. Buy it now through Amazon, Apple Books, or your local bookstore. Links to the book are provided in this video's show notes, or simply scan here for more information. Elf Antics is the holiday helper that busy parents will love. Now, back to our video. Now, I've always understood a required expense to be the equivalent of a fee, something you have to pay. And if you have to pay $200 per person for guests 1 and 2, then how can this cabin be marketed as free? There's no way of getting around that fee. Sure, Princess refers to this as a deposit, which implies you're paying this to cover some of the goods and services you'd like to enjoy once you're on board. The money is applied as a credit to your stateroom charges. In other words, you're supposed to believe that you're getting something in exchange for that money you're paying up front. Kind of like when hotels claim you're getting free internet by paying that $35 per night resort fee. But I disagree. This deposit is non-refundable, which means if I don't want to buy something on board, that money is lost. I'm not getting it back. So essentially, I'm being forced to spend money on board, which, in my mind at least, comes back to the idea that this is a fee. So my cabin is not free. Gratuities currently run $17 per person for an inside cabin, so for a 7-night cruise, that comes to $119 per person. I'm not going to get into the argument of should you allow automatic gratuities, pay them to the crew members yourself, or not at all. Personally, I'm fine with the automatic process and then adding a little here or there as I feel is warranted. So I would be spending that $119 on board anyways. But that still leaves $81 that I'd have to spend or I'd lose it. Or in the case of 2 people, $162. What if I don't want to spend more money on board? Now, I'm sure my husband would be rolling his eyes right about now because I'm good at spending money on board a cruise ship. In fact, I'm good at spending money just about anywhere. So yes, I'm not trying to say that I would have been walking off the ship with that $200 if it was refundable. But I guess I've just reached that age where it's the principle of the matter. If you say it's free, then make it free. Don't be shady. Just say, hey, here's a cabin you can have for $200 per person plus government taxes and fees. I think that's a great deal. Here's my point, and something to look out for when you're thinking about a cruise offer. Can a cruise really be labeled as free when you're required to pay something that's non-refundable? I'm not a lawyer, and I'm sure every word has been meticulously reviewed by the cruise line's legal team. But to me, this kind of legalese wording just feels a little deceptive and insulting. I didn't gamble on board all that much with Princess this year, so the price itself is a good offer. But I probably won't take Princess up on it only because the promotion seems deceiving and the wording has left a bad taste in my mouth. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. I hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, I sure would appreciate it if you'd leave it a thumbs up, as that's a huge help in increasing visibility for videos from small channels like mine. Thanks for watching. I hope you can join me again soon in one of these videos. Until then, here's hoping that your next adventure is just around the corner and you get a free cruise that's actually free.